Another at 4 o'clock. After two previous Connecticut school visits were canceled, U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon was back in her home state today, but her appearance in Seymour also came with some backlash.
Yeah, Matt McFarland is a reporter covering New Haven County, and he was there with the story.
The visit here at Seymour Middle School, part of the History Rocks tour highlighting civics and America's 250th anniversary, but the appearance not without some controversy.
I think there was maybe a lot of misperception about what the programs might be, but this was really just about our country and a lot of state-specific questions.
Who is known to be the father of the United States?
Is it B?
B. George Washington. Great job.
Part pep rally, part quiz show, with these middle schoolers doing their best to answer questions about Connecticut and its role in the Revolution. The History Rocks tour making its 49th stop across the country, but its first appearance in Connecticut after two planned events with Education Secretary Linda McMahon were canceled earlier this year in Fairfield and Thomaston. Critics have argued the Trump administration is tasking McMahon to eliminate the Department of Education while also trying to whitewash parts of U.S. history. And there was pushback here in Seymour, too. Josh James, a Democrat running for state rep, posted on Facebook. Concerns are valid surrounding the visit and Secretary McMahon's support for dismantling the federal role in public education, especially when federal programs support students with disabilities, low-income families, and districts that already struggle with funding.
The president's role is to get the bureaucracy out of education, return it to the states where the best successes can be found to educate their students.
Coming up on Eyewitness News at 5, we'll have more on Secretary McMahon's visit here to the middle school, the pushback, and why the superintendent said yes to the visit, while others had previously said no. Your reporter in Seymour, Matt McFarland, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.